Unless, when you go to the altar and you inquire of what is appropriate here, you are told, be still. But it's never your prerogative, based upon your gut level reaction or your best judgments, to say, he or she needs to suffer. I can see that he or she needs to suffer a little bit more in order to really learn her lesson. Continuing or repeating, all symptoms of hurt need true helpfulness. And whenever they are met with this, the mind that so meets them heals itself. There better be, in any interaction, at least one mind that is being healed as a result of the interaction. And the mind that's healed as a result of the interaction is the mind that has said, I will not rely upon my best judgments, my experience, or my confidences. I am going to turn to the Father and say, what is appropriate here? What is your perspective? Show me what to do. Show me what to say. I yield to something beyond my best judgments. Continuing. Rehabilitation is an attitude of praising God as He Himself knows praise. He offers praise to you, and you must offer it to others. It's as simple as that. That's the movement of creation. He offers praise to you, and you must offer it to others. That is the movement of being. Continuing. The chief handicaps of the clinicians, or any psychological helper or spiritual helper or anyone who's trying to be helpful without being joined. The chief handicaps of the clinicians lie in their attitudes to those whom their egos perceive as weakened and damaged. By these evaluations, they have weakened and damaged their own helpfulness, and thus have set their own rehabilitation back. Rehabilitation is not concerned either with the ego's fight for control or its need to avoid and withdraw. And we're talking here about true rehabilitation. You can do much on behalf of your own rehabilitation and that of others if, in a situation calling for healing, you think of it this way. I am here only to be truly helpful. Okay. We're talking about an attitude of caring. We're talking about having an object of your affection. Because you can't just be here generically or generally only to be helpful. If you're going to be helpful, you're going to have to be specifically helpful. It's going to have something to do with someone else who has a need that you recognize, and there has to be something in you that cares enough about that brother or sister to want to extend help. So, we have an object of our affection. We have a reason to ask for help from the Father. That's one of the two conditions. I am here only to be truly helpful. Well, how can you be truly helpful? That's in the next sentence. I am here to represent Christ who sent me. In other words, you're here to represent someone other than your present ego sense of who you are. You're here to be present with another from a place outside of the box of your already existing, mutually agreed upon definitions. And because you aren't having to rely upon your already existing definitions, as the next sentence says, I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. So now you have an object of your affection, a reason for turning toward the Father, and then in turning toward the Father, you're saying, I'm not going to rely upon anything from my past. I am going to rely upon the direction, the guidance of something else. I'm abandoning any personal, private authority I thought I had, and I'm letting something bigger than me express authority. Again, I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. And now here's the humiliating thing to the ego. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. That's called yielding to the Father. Yielding up any authority you thought you had. And, finishing, I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. I will be healed as I extend to my brother the healing. And that, folks, is the way it works. Again, you can do much on behalf of your own rehabilitation and that of others if, in a situation calling for healing, you think of it in this way. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent Christ who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. So, this chapter that we've just finished was called The Root of All Evil. And of course, we found out that the root of all evil is nothing more than a Christ believing that he could go into his imagination, and out of his imagination give new definitions to creation itself, and new definitions to himself, and dissociate himself with not only his source, but the source of all creation, which he's now redefined, and thus begin to believe that he's not the Christ, that he is or she is whatever he defined himself as, and then cope with the result, the distorted result, the untrue, unreal result, as though coping with it would ultimately secure a position of authority independent from God for that one. Something which is utterly impossible. Why? Because in order to do any of this, this Christ has had to use his divine capacity as the Christ to have this imagination. So, the undoing of this that has come to be called the human condition, the undoing of this human condition is a matter of rehabilitation. The uncovering and the illumination of capacities that already exist, which seem to have been lost through lack of use. So I guess you could look at life as a process of healing. Because either you're going to continue to engage in life strenuously, because you're trying to live in it while ignoring it, pretending that it's not there in the way that it's really there. Or you're going to bring a stop to that. And you're going to constantly challenge the status quo. You're constantly going to disagree with what you see on the TV or what your brothers or sisters or family present to you as sin, disease, and death. And you're going to object to it by once again asking, God, what is the truth here? So that you may pass the truth along. So that you don't remain silent where help is needed. And you don't just willy-nilly let cancer progress. Don't ever say that so-and-so, whoever he or she might be, has the right to create this drama for himself or herself. That is no more reasonable than saying that so-and-so has the right to explore all of the possibilities of breaking the law, or all of the possibilities of bringing harm and injury and suffering to his brothers and sisters. You'd better, as I've said before, you had better be black or white. It's either true or it's not, and if it's not, you object to it. And how do you object to it? Not by going out and dealing with it, strong-arming it. You deal with it by going within to the place where you feel inadequate to deal with it. And you ask God, how am I to see this place in me that is as hampered as the person I'm seeing is in need? Help uncover in me the capacity not to be overwhelmed and moved into inaction, so that I might be clear about what is real and what is true, and be able to express it in terms that constitute objection through education. Education that will work. Hey, you're all having a dream of one degree or another. Am I shutting up? Am I sitting back and saying, hey, you all have a right to whatever little nightmare you want to have. I see you're lying there on a grassy knoll in the kingdom of heaven, and I know you're safe. No. Open your mouth and be willing to be an agent for change. But also notice the way I deal with you. It's with love. It's with education that is presented in a way that the place of excellence in you can hear. So that you might feel the place of excellence in you more than you have, and thereby be able to act out from that place with a little more confidence. The correction of an illusion must occur in the context of love. Because you can bet your bottom dollar that when you turn toward the Father and ask to know what is the truth here, that what the Father is going to be expressing to you to extend to your brother, and thereby bless yourself and your brother with, is going to be in a context of love, in all of the fullness of the meaning of that word. And so even if you're having to say no when your brother wants to hear yes, it will be done in a way that clearly expresses an absence of personal judgment, and which, because it is minus any personal judgment, conveys, if I may put it this way, the fullness of the power of God, which will always be far greater than whatever degree of force you might feel you're introducing into the correction of the problem by virtue of bringing judgment into its expression. The next chapter is healing and wholeness, and you can see how natural it is to flow into this subject at this point. we have spent a few weeks uncovering the root of all evil, making it really relevant to each of you in your daily life, so that it's not just a theory and a nice head trip. We've brought it home so that you're more grounded and more hopeful than you were when we began the chapter. And so we will end here for today and begin on the new chapter next week. The new chapter will be significantly more meaningful to you than it has been in the past if you have read it in the past, because of the groundwork that we've laid. If you remember nothing else from today, I want you to remember that although we can stretch it and say that everyone has a right to behave in whatever way they want, they don't have the right to do it without objection. If you remember that, you will stay grounded in your metaphysics and in your spirituality, and your divinity will be available to you in much more powerful ways. And then remember that all of this is about rehabilitation. All of this is about redemption. All of this is about the uncovering of capacities that you have, that you thought you lost through lack of use. We're not making a silk purse out of a sow's ear. We're uncovering a Christ where the Christ has been all along, no matter what the hell you think you are at the moment. And that is part of what makes all of this easy. You could think it would be really difficult if, in fact, you were the lowliest nothing that somehow could become something entirely different. The most, the biggest, the fullest expression of God. Now that would be work. But you know what? To put it in perspective, all we're talking about is rehabilitation. All we're talking about is rehabilitation. Chew on that for a week. And enjoy the fullness of the flavor of the bite you have in your mouth. I love you all.